It's October and it's superhero month for both PlayStation and Xbox, but who comes out on top? Do you remember Gotham Knights? It launched, people hated it, and then people tried the game and found out that it was actually pretty fun. They've patched it up quite a bit, and it is now coming to Game Pass in October, the same month that Spider-Man 2, probably the biggest game this year, and the biggest game for the holidays, the biggest game to sell a piece of hardware. Spider-Man 2 is going to be huge, and seemingly not wanting to be left out of the superhero loop, Microsoft opened up the checkbook and decided to put Gotham Knights into Game Pass. So does that do enough to sort of squash the hype and just the overall overwhelming excitement that Spider-Man 2 is generating for PlayStation? Now, Microsoft doesn't really care anymore about one-off sales. They don't really push individual titles or IPs anymore. It's just about what is added to a list of games in a subscription service a la Game Pass, whereas Sony is still very keen on making sure that their studios and their IP get the spotlight that they deserve. And I found that it was very interesting, the month of October, a big game like Spider-Man 2, what would Microsoft's reaction be? And again, it's just not about any individual titles anymore for Xbox, but they do understand and they are aware that when a really big game comes out for a competitor, you need something. And the entire sort of mantra or strategy for Microsoft is highlighted every single time something like this happens. A really big first-party game from Sony, for PlayStation, from a great first-party studios coming out. It's going to be huge. It's going to sell individual copies, probably millions upon millions of copies. It's going to help sell more PlayStation 5s. So Microsoft's answer to it is the same thing that they've been doing, simply buying content to put into a subscription service. It's not about making one individual title stand out above the rest. It's about adding to a list of games to make a service look better than one individual title a la Spider-Man 2. And I just don't feel like that is as exciting. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm just saying I feel like there's more excitement around these one-off big AAA titles from internal studios that push not only the idea of what it is to purchase a PlayStation or what it is to be a PlayStation game, but it pushes the idea of why the PlayStation 5 is different, because it uses the PlayStation 5 in a way that third-party games don't. It uses that DualSense controller in some ways that third-party games don't, and it highlights the graphical strength of the PlayStation 5 in a way that most third-party games don't. Now, there are great-looking third-party games on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, but I'm saying these first-party games, you know it. Everybody waits for these games. The same thing's happening over at Xbox, even though Game Pass is all the rage, everything that they talk about, people still want those big first-party AAA games to look incredible. But I feel like without these one-off releases, without the idea of taking these singular games that are releasing and giving them the spotlight, as opposed to just sort of saying, here's a subscription service and these games are dropping into it, you kind of lose that big release. You kind of lose that big hype, and you really lose the idea of what it is to be a AAA, because I don't think they're spending $300 million to make a game like Spider-Man 2 and dropping it into a subscription service. And we know that's true because of that leaked list of what it would take to get certain games for day one in Game Pass being $200 million, $250 million or up. It's just not happening. So we know that the idea of spending $250 million, $300 million to get really big AAA games day and date isn't going to happen. And we know there's a quality difference between first party when it comes to PlayStation and Microsoft and Xbox. And why is there that difference in quality? Well, it has to come down to the cost of creating one-off titles, making sure that they're thoroughly polished and they are just at a high bar, higher than almost anyone else in the industry, to sort of guarantee or give you the best foot forward when it comes to selling individual copies to a lot of people, and then those titles go on to push hardware. With Microsoft, it's about getting some games into a subscription service and making sure that the cost makes sense. And I don't think, again, we're seeing these polished first-party games drop into a subscription service like GamePass or any other. Let me know, though, what you think about this idea behind the different strategies being highlighted by superheroes this month in October. I know I'm super excited to play Spider-Man 2, and I did play Gotham Knights, and I think it's a really, really good game. I had a great time with it, so if you have Game Pass, download it and play it. And if you have a PlayStation 5, you know everybody's buying Spider-Man 2 to play on their system. And if you don't have a PlayStation 5, now's the time to get one. Thanks for watching the video. Let me know what you think again in the comments section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.